Welcome to episode 2 of I'd Rather Be Motivated. My name is Scott Green. With me is David Fleming.
What's up?
We're the duders that bring you I'd Rather Be Drawing.com, so you should probably check that out. Alright, so I'm here with David. We're talking about Inktober and just kind of what happened with us and how we went into it, what we got out of it, and just our experience with it. If you don't know already, we're pretty big fans of Inktober. I think it's a lot of fun, and we think everyone should participate. If you don't know, Inktober is a 31-day challenge during the month of October. Either way you look at it, it's either to create a drawing every day or to create 31 drawings in 31 days. But it's just a good way to kind of level up your talent and try to just get to a better spot with it. David, did you do much in the way of like prep for this? Did you just sit down and just start doing it on day one, or what was your kind of mentality going in?
Well, I would definitely say I prepared for this thing. This is a huge thing in my sort of artistic career life thing. A year ago today, or I guess a year ago in this same time period, I'd actually never really inked before. I'd inked like 2 things. It was like the beginning of me taking things a little more seriously, and I did like fake commissions for some friends that were some ink drawings, and then it was like literally right after I was done with those things, it was like, hey, there's this thing called Inktober where you actually sit for 31 days and you make ink drawings, and at the end you're like, this is how much better I got at drawing. So this year it was like, all right, I'm going to take this more seriously, because last year I only did 15 drawings. I did one every other day, so I did like pencils, inks, pencils, inks.
Yeah, last year it did seem a bit more of just like a ink drawing every day. Yeah. I just got my first ink pen, so I think I was the same way with one day you post your pencils, one day you post your inks, which sometimes you got to make it work for you and whatever you're ready for. But both David and I got the Art Snacks promotion, which is a monthly send you art stuff that you can use and kind of experiment with. And they team with Jake Parker, who's the inventor of Inktober, to kind of give you particular tools to get ready for it. So both David and I signed up for that and got a box of really pretty nice tools sent to us. And I think David kind of formed what he was going to do out of that.
Yeah, that gave me all my rules and my things to follow too. So the Inktober box came with a list of prompts. It came with a nice little print, which I can't wait to frame and get on the wall, from Jake Parker. It also came with a set of materials. It came with a couple of fine liners. It came with a brush, some dip pen stuff, and a nice well of ink. And that kind of helped form some more of the preparation. Okay, I guess I'm going to make things with only these things. And that was a strict rule. It was, here's my prompts, here's my materials, it's the box. Carry the box with me everywhere I go.
He stuck to that too, because he's like, oh man, a white pen would really be useful right here. I'm like, just grab a white pen, what's the big deal? He's like, it's not in the box, it's against the rules. And he really stuck to it.
I cheated once.
I won't tell. So in, I don't know, something that I think David and I have kind of found, and like why we chose rules, and I kind of chose some for myself. I invented a character named Inktober last year, a little pumpkin-headed Halloween monster. So my little rules was just everything Halloween-oriented I was going to do for Inktober. So a little bit different, in some ways a little bit looser, but I just knew I wanted to get kind of a line language down for creepy Halloween stuff, and just knew I needed to draw it.
Forcing yourself into a box is important for challenges like that. You kind of need to be able to sit down and be like, what's going on today? But it also does the opposite for me, because my biggest challenge was sitting down to a prompt like tree or happy and being like, what the heck am I going to draw today from happy? Especially if I was like, I'm not happy today, so how am I going to draw happy? And then that put me in a box. But that was sort of my biggest challenge too, was don't stress and say, throw it out the window and who cares? Keep it in the challenging box and see what happens from it.
Yeah, I guess if you're not being challenged by a 31-day art challenge, it kind of misses the point, which for me, one of the biggest challenges was speed. Like we said last year, we didn't really have enough time to do like a complete ink drawing every day, especially because we built ourselves up to think that an ink drawing means a finished piece of like beautiful artwork. Where this time we were, I think, both able to get less of a precious feeling about everything we made, and just realize that if you want to get better at making art, you need to just make a lot of it. Don't think that everything you do needs to be turned into like a sellable print. Just keep making the stuff. So one of the things for me this year that was a big hurdle was that speed. If I really wanted to make one drawing per day, or even if I got behind and had to do 2 or 3 drawings in a day, which happened, something was going to have to change with my speed. And for me, it was, I ultimately ended up skipping a step in penciling, where for me, I rough with, like a blue pencil or an orange pencil, just like real lightly because I have a heavy hand. Then I would go in and pencil real detailed, and then I would try to ink on top of that, which we both also, I think, kind of found that when you're just sort of tracing on top of your pencils, it really can kind of kill the life of your line. So more for the speed and not so much for that, I ended up getting rid of that middle penciling stage. I just would do my roughs and then just going with the inks. And it felt precarious and crazy, and where's the line I'm trying to find? But you just kind of dig in and go for it. And when you don't have time to stop and think about every next move, I think is when insights about your own style start creeping through, which is really kind of fun for me to start seeing that happen.
Definitely. Preserving the gesture of the line has been like a big thing for me. And I've gotten comments from some fans of mine of being like, man, the things you've been doing lately feel different, or this feels real experimental. And I'm like, it's because it is. I've
noticed that with your stuff. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it feels more lively and things are moving.
There's less structure sometimes, but there's much more energy, which I'm trying to find that balance between those two things right now. Because the brush, the dipping, the sitting down, getting comfy in my space, make a mess, splatter something, spill the ink and deal with it kind of thing has been something I picked up from that, because like we said, we're about a year into this thing. We draw all the time and we're huge into all that kind of thing, but picking up the art and the ink and getting into it with that is new for us still. And it's like I fell in love with it last year, and I'll continue to Inktober.
Oh yeah,
and
so much fun.
I would continue to ink, and now I'm definitely going to have that much more bold, thick black, spot blacks experiment. Like, oh, this whole area right here needs some detail. No, it's just in shadow. I'm just going to ink that out, and then I'm going to play with this little focal point instead. So a lot of things like that have helped me with what does my art need to look like.
That's a good point. What does it need to look like? Not just how do I draw this correctly, but how does the art need to look to represent the symbol of what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to make a Frankenstein. Do I need to draw every little stitch and every little bolt and things like that and every little scar? Or do I just do it in a way that, gives you that feeling of that monster and he's brooding and sad, where you don't have to draw either eye, you just draw those dark black spaces or whatever. But finding that balance of how to draw things correctly and just how to, draw them how they should be drawn for whatever story you're trying to tell. You had kind of touched on a little bit how you really enjoyed in kind of finding your style, kind of going to your happy place, setting all the inks out, having your water, your brush, splatter and stuff, and really just making a mess. For me, it was a little bit the opposite in finding my art style, which was I just kind of needed to be able to take things with me everywhere I went. I just didn't ever have much time where I could just sit, spread everything out, make a mess, then be able to clean it up. I had to have a little to-go pack, and the Art Snacks Inktober box came with a smaller spiral-bound, really nice sketchbook. So at least part of my rules was everything, for the most part, needed to go in that book or whatnot. So having that small thing that I could just take with me everywhere I went, that's really helped me get stuff done and help budget time. If I've got 10 minutes, I went to the Renaissance Festival with my wife during Inktober, and so I wouldn't have to stress about it. I took it with me, and when she went off to go shopping for some jewelry, I sat and penciled something quick in 10 minutes. And that's just not something I do, but the challenge of Inktober and finding those rules to limit stuff is kind of where, creativity kind of abounds, or you learn more about how you handle that pressure in that situation.
100%. And that's a huge lesson I teach my art students. If it doesn't feel hard, if it's not a challenge, you're not coming out the other end better. If you're just in your comfort zone and you're drawing the thing you draw every day, you're going to keep drawing the thing you draw every day. And that's what drawing challenges are all about. It's about getting to the end and seeing a visual increase in your drawing ability. And it's about having fun. I mean, obviously, you don't get into the thing not to enjoy the month, but drawing challenges they're a stressful thing sometimes, because you're you never know what's going to happen in the next 31 days, or if you're even going to be close to your materials, and you have to be how am I going to get to make a mess today when now I got to grade 100 papers today, and I haven't even gotten to touch my drawing today. And then, so seeing that visual increase has been huge for me. And we talked about that too, even before we jumped on here, that I literally saw like a level up in my ability. I look at my drawings from last year and I compare them to my drawings from this year, and they're not huge in a difference, but my drawings last year took me from like 3 hours to 8 for some of mine, like a couple hours penciling, couple hours inking, cleaning it up, erasing, not loving a line, trying to do every little stitch, every little bolt. And this year it was like, all right, I got 30 minutes. Got to make this happen because I want to go to bed sometime tonight.
Yeah, I did find one of the sort of challenges that I didn't expect from a drawing challenge was finding the balance in like your regular life. I don't have any kids like David, but I have, a wife and I have a job that I go to and everything. And I was finding that like I wanted to do this so bad and I wanted to get better. It was causing some stress, not necessarily bad stress because this is something important to both David and I. We want to get better, but finding that balance of like I was getting irritable and kind of pissy on days where I couldn't, draw like I planned to set aside time, but now we had to go do this thing with the nieces. That's like an awesome, fun thing, but I'd start getting pissy if I couldn't draw. But then if I did have time to draw, man, my mood was just great. So it's finding that balance in real life too, that it can't just all revolve around that I don't know, learning your art style as well as trying to get progress when you don't have a lot of time. It all comes back to that kind of finding balance, which I think is an important part of Inktober and drawing challenges, is it helps form good habits, or at least helps highlight habits that maybe aren't so good, that you need to deal with.
So the biggest lesson to learn here is do a drawing challenge. Maybe one doesn't exist that fits into your thing. Make one. Get in a drawing group. Get accountability. That's what a drawing challenge is. It is, I've got people expecting to see a drawing from me today. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 100, but they're looking for that thing, and whether or not, maybe that thing makes their day, maybe that thing doesn't, but that drawing challenge is your accountability to get yourself to that next level, especially if you feel like you're in a drawing slump, or even if you're not, maybe if you're in the zone, it's like, all right, keep that momentum going. Find a challenge, make some rules, make a goal for the end of the month, and challenge yourself.
Yeah, and like that's what I think we did. We both talked about going in, what were our goals for it, because that gives you a direction. Even if your goal is I just enjoy drawing and I want a really good excuse to participate in a community thing, maybe you're not looking to get better or become a professional comic artist or anything like that, but there's still a goal when you choose to participate in something like this, which is a good thing. If it's just to have fun and mess around with ink and play, awesome, more power to you. But like David said, when you have accountability to like show up, and like with us, we have each other, that if he does an ink drawing or posts an awesome one that day and I post nothing, like, you got to have accountability and show up. But yeah, having those goals, reevaluating it as you're going along so you can really kind of learn from what's happening, because it's hard to expect the unexpected sometimes when you enter into something like this, I think. But
well, I'm pretty sure that's a wrap for this one. Go ahead and give us your cheesy sign off.
Oh, what was it again? Love, peace, and comics.
Ba-doom-ts.
Ba-doom-ts.